So you might be wondering what a crawl space dig out conversion into a basement might look like. I'm on site here, one of our projects in Westminster, Colorado, where we dug out this existing crawl space here, and now we're gonna finish the new crawl space area as well as a full existing basement and adding an exterior entrance. So on this project, the clients contacted us. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, but they really were worried about the structural integrity of their home, the detailed approach to the process, making sure that the engineers and us as a contractor had done this several times before and had been successful at it. And so during the interviewing process with this client, we were able to show them our process, also walk some of our current dig outs, kind of show them in person of the detail that we have, the shoring, the phasing, and all the things that we have to pay really close attention to on these dig outs. So this one here is on caissons. And so what we did first, this existing wall was separating the existing basement from this crawl space. So there was dirt, I think roughly like right up to here. So one of the first things we did is we hopped in the crawl space here and excavated down. And we excavated down in this area here and that area there. Because before we cut this concrete wall, we had to put these helical piers here. And so they're like steel anchors that go as far as we can until we get refused, but hopefully to bedrock. And they will support both sides of this existing foundation wall before we cut it. And so that after that, we cut this foundation wall, removed it, and then we were able to get guys into this space to start excavating this. And so we excavate everything, or almost everything by hand with shovels, jackhammers, pickaxes. And then we use conveyors to go out. We set up conveyors to go in here and out that exterior entrance we dug in, and then out to the street to fill the dump trailers we were filling. And then we'll haul that dirt off-site to one of our yards. So on this project, we are on caissons. So that means these concrete piers that you can see here, they are on the existing foundation. They're drilled down to bedrock. You typically see this in areas where there's highly expansive soils. And so that way this foundation is supported by the bedrock and not by the existing soils. So what you'll often see underneath your existing foundation is actually a void. You can actually reach under there and feel the bottom of the foundation. When we pour these, when the original builder poured this, they poured it on top of a cardboard void. And so that way it could disintegrate over time. And then if the soil expands, it's not pushing up on the foundation because they're anchored into the bedrock. Between the existing foundation acts as a bridge between these two caissons. So you have one here, you have another one over there, but they're every like 12 feet and usually in the corners. So on this excavation, when you're on caissons, you can actually excavate the full area of the crawl space all at once because we're not undermining the foundation. The foundation is not supported by the soil, it's supported by these existing caissons. And so this one took a couple weeks, and then we had those conveyors going out and filling the trailers. After that's done, we will run a laser level on the back side of these walls that we've excavated because these concrete is actually back formed against the dirt. And so that dirt on the back side we want really done, nice and plumb, and then that way we can form this side and then pour the concrete in there. And so after we've gotten it excavated, then the concrete guys will come in, they'll put a plastic barrier against the dirt behind the walls before they pour, and then they come in and will dowel rebar into the existing caisson, epoxy that in, and then also the existing foundation per our engineered designs. Before they pour, or even before they form the walls, we'll have our structural engineer on site to verify the rebar spacing, make sure the epoxy depth of the rebar is good, the epoxy set up well, and then once that inspection is passed, we get his letter, we will form these walls, usually with steel forms. After that, we will order this concrete from the batch plant. We usually order it 4,000 PSI and we'll pour it with a line pump. And so on this foundation, we did a true underpin. And so you can see that the new foundation is right underneath the existing foundation. So you're not losing any space in your basement with the way that this wall is poured on this wall. Sometimes we'll also, if we have to do a thicker wall, like this wall, we needed to do a couple inches thicker because we have a garage behind us and the additional loading of the cars in there. the engineer spec'd out a 10-inch wall. And so this one we poured 2 inches thicker than the existing wall, and you can see, you know, our forms here and kind of where it all leveled out. And I think the existing wall actually comes down quite a ways, so we poured it a little bit taller than that as well. After the concrete is poured, the forms are stripped, we still have our dirt floor. And so then our drain crew will come in and dig in a perimeter drain around this basement, and that'll drain into our sump pump. And so that's also inspected by the engineer to make sure we have the proper slopes per foot on that, and that will be draining properly. After that, we place 4 inches of pea gravel in underneath our slab, and then we put a plastic vapor barrier on top of that and tape the seams and glue it to the walls for both vapor management but also radon management. Once that's inspected by the city, we'll come in and pour a 4-inch concrete slab like you see here, and then we saw cut the finish lines in here. So this dig out is a total of 15 inches below the existing basement. And so when you're on caissons, that is really easy to do because you're not undermining the structure. You can dig deeper without too much added cost and get additional height in your basement. So I think this will finish around like 8'6" here, whereas the existing was in the 7-foot ranges. After we have our concrete work done, our slab is poured, then we can bring in our finishing crews. And so here we brought in the framer here. You can see we have our 2x4 furred walls. We have our floating walls here in Colorado because of the expansive soils. If this slab does want to move up and down, it will just move and fill this gap instead of pushing this wall into the first floor framing and starting, you know, you start to see drywall cracks and everything up there. So you can see the floating walls here. And then on this design, so instead of putting a counterfort, which is basically a perpendicular wall that's like 3 or 4 feet wide. Instead of doing that to keep this wall rigid, we put these steel I-beams in at every 4-foot spacing. So the client during the design phase did not want those intrusive counterforts on the inside of their wall, and then the exterior was not an option since we were too close to the property line. So after our framing's roughly complete, we'll bring in our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subs to do their rough-ins and work on towards finishing the rest of the basement like a normal basement finishing would be. But yeah, we can turnkey the scope for you, so you can hire just one contractor to manage one permit and to manage the whole process. So you don't have to hire multiple contractors.